Winter Soldier, final episode, season sum up, a pull together, the end of the show. I have to say, what was really disappointing about this, the final episode, for me, it was one of the weakest episodes. God, I don't know why. It kind of didn't really satisfactorily tie up or conclude a lot of what I felt were the richest parts of the series that came before it. I thought its politics were good. I thought the fact that we ended the show with essentially a black Captain America in the form of Anthony Mackie's Falcon, I thought that was rich. It's a brilliant step forward. It takes the diversity element of the MCU and Marvel beyond just Black Panther, which I think is a really good thing. And I thought that was good. I tell you where I thought this episode really let me down. And I know I've said it before, and I know there's a couple of people here, I think Del Boy and MeTube, a couple of people who've sort of, pushed back on this. The lead flag smasher. What was going on there in her delivery and in her monotone, flat, undramatic, couldn't really care about her sort of way. The much more, the Flag Smashers, I've seen somewhere online, there's been posited this suggestion that perhaps this series was more fixated on a sort of bioweaponry viral leak, and that because of coronavirus, Marvel had to kind of retrofit and adjust the storyline, right down to, doing re-recording clips of audio and changing the narrative a touch. That still doesn't explain to me why and how, in the directing of this show, when you've got such rich, layered, emotive characters, you then have this one character who we're supposed to really believe this sort of parallel connection between the lead flag smasher, sorry, I've lost her name, and Anthony Mackie, the Falcon. There's a sort of tussle, there's a yin and a yang, a sort of an identification, a sort of empathetic sense of injustice in both of them that they should have connected on and were connecting on, and that should have made the final battle scene and her death more emotional than it was, and it just wasn't. Other elements in this episode that I did like, I loved the detail around Isaiah and how he was finally, he was the first black super soldier who essentially was wiped out of, American history or superhero history and Marvel history, if you like. And the way in which the Falcon managed to resurrect his image, his history, his story, and place it within the sort of Captain America museum, a museum not unlike the Coca-Cola Museum in Atlanta. Keep wondering even whether they might have shot it there even. And then alongside this, you also had Agent Carter. Agent Carter for me was another weak element. It wasn't, I know I should probably have inherited her from elsewhere. I just didn't care. And the fact that this episode ends on her walking out of the highest seat of power, essentially, clearly with a malevolent desire to kind of share secrets with the rest of the world, or with evil people somewhere else. Couldn't buy into her. Did buy into the wonderful Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, who sort of slam dunked her involvement with Walker, and so we've got this intriguing thing but even Walker, who's become this rich sort of receptacle of thwarted ambition, sort of slightly impotent male bravura, matched with artificially enhanced super soldier serum, and now is going to be sort of taken off into another potentially slight villainous, slight hero, anti-hero type sort of antechamber to do other stuff. He sort of faded to the back in this and was left to sort of just look on. There was a really wondrous moment, which should have been wondrous, where the Falcon delivered his incredibly empowered speech in the street to what effectively was like the United Nations in this, the GRC. And whilst I agreed with everything he was saying, and the point of it was really strong, and it was a pivotal moment, it's the only time I felt it all veered on eggy, especially as we kind of cut to people looking and all that kind of stuff. And it was supposed to be a, real sort of, let's all gather around this moment, this key moment for a sort of inspirational push. And something about it, I don't know, what did you think? Something about it kind of fell flat. I then really liked the fact that the Winter Soldier, I thought the Winter Soldier has sort of quietly got richer across the series. And so the fact that he's got this book that he's crossing off people that he's making amends to, and and essentially he finishes that list. It's a little bit like My Name Is Earl, and there was a little bit of kind of 12-step recovery in there, making amends to everyone. That was kind of nice. That was a sort of nicely developed narrative that I could kind of go with. But I have to confess, whilst I also was really signed up to the idea that by the end of this episode we've got a black Captain America in the form of the Falcon, and they changed the title at the very end there, which is really nice. Rather than the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, it's Captain America and the Winter Soldier. And whilst we also now hear that a Captain America 4 movie is in the works, is in the pipeline, really exciting too, this episode for me didn't really successfully amplify or bring to a conclusion all those brilliant other little bits and strands elsewhere in the show. And I have to confess, I just keep wondering whether it was all around the Flag Smashers. I just couldn't help but feel that the Flag Smashers were a bit superfluous. They kind of seemed vital, and then they weren't vital, and then it was a lot of punch-ups and a lot of kind of fights and a lot of there seemed to be a lot of potential in them, and then it just seemed to be neutered, and then it was doubly neutered by her impossibly thin. It was a thin British voice, a reedy, thin British voice in the midst of all this American sort of bravura and what have you. And so I just thought this final episode was a bit of a disappointment, if I'm honest. That's my theory on it. What's your take on it? Did you enjoy it? Did you feel that this episode was I think when I look back on the whole show, when I look back on the whole season, I think once again I'm reminded that these things become their richest when we really sort of delve deep into the characters and into the sort of vulnerabilities and weaknesses of strong characters. I think it's politics. I think it's diversity politics. It's tackling of the experience of Black Americans through the lens of the MCU has been really rich and really rewarding and really meaningful. And we've come out of it with the net result that we all wanted. And I'm just curious to know what the next season is going to be like. Is there going to be a next season? Do we know? Are they shooting it? Is it coming? Is it going to be, I presume, Captain America and the Winter Soldier? Is that going to be separate to Captain America 4? Is Captain America 4 going to come before Captain America? So many questions to ask. But this is a series that surprised me, grabbed me, took me up, flew me around like the Falcon's wings. I was excited. There was richness in Walker, richness in the Falcon, richness in Isaiah, richness in the Winter Soldier, no richness in the Flag Smashers. And then it sort of landed with a bit of a...
For more film and family fun, don't forget to click the subscribe button and make sure to click the bell to never miss an update.